And yeah, I'll just start your reading right now for Pisces. So the first card you have for your past is Death. Okay, so I really like this card. I'm seeing a huge change here, a huge shift, and I think this is something that might have actually started a while ago. Maybe this change even started a year ago. I think this is something to do with an ascension process, something to do with a spiritual process. It's really fantastic. I'm really happy to see this because a lot of people in these readings are going through this. I've seen it a few times and I'm seeing it again here, but I've seen this before in your reading. So I think this started a while ago with you. I'm actually seeing you losing contact with a few people actually since this started. I don't think any of this was deliberate. I don't think you deliberately came and cut anyone off, or you didn't want to cause anyone problems. I don't think you said, oh, I'm not talking to you anymore. I don't think it was anything like that. It was just that, you know, I think as you were changing, there were a lot of people who you just weren't in harmony with anymore. You just didn't feel as if you were kind of comfortable around what they had to say, things like that. You know, again, you didn't cut people off. You weren't cutting contact with people. It was just more about how you felt around people. I think you just naturally drifted away from a lot of people. That's what I'm seeing. And, you know, you're still changing, you're still evolving, you're still going through this. I actually think maybe this was why you kind of distanced yourself, because I think from the outside world's perspective, especially when it came to some people, I think maybe it looked as if things were actually getting worse for you. You know, maybe you abandoned some of the things you liked before. Maybe you didn't want to thrive. You know, you weren't striving for the same goals that you were before, you know, and you might even look different. I think you might, maybe the kinds of clothes you wear might be very different. You know, there might be a lot of people who are going after kind of designer labels and expensive this and some other kind of that, and you're just not in that world anymore. Might be that, or it's some kind of big difference. And yeah, so you have moved away from a lot of the similar things that a lot of other people like doing. It might be that you're around people who liked going and having parties and drinking all the time, and you've kind of stopped that because you just don't, not because you kind of think you're better than anyone else, you just don't like the same things anymore. It's that. So it's part of this big change. There is one person from your past who I think you have to keep in contact with. I think it's probably an ex. I think there's some reason why you have to talk to them. Might be because of children that you have together. Might be because you have some kind of something that you have to connect with them through. I don't know why it is. I'm actually getting the feeling that they'd like to have more contact with you than what you give them, but I think you do have that under control. You're not overwhelmed by them or anything like that. I think you would have been once, but you're not now. I think this ex probably used to bother you a lot more than they do now. Not outwardly, but inwardly. You used to be very troubled by the things they do, and they'd kind of set your emotions up and down and kind of crazy. You know, but yeah, this is all happening inwardly. The most important changes happen from the inside. You know, sometimes people like to blame a lot of outside factors for their problems. And, you know, of course, there are a lot of problems in the world, terrible problems. I'm not dismissing that. I'm not saying, oh, it's all your fault. You know, it's all in your head. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that, you know, most change starts from the inside. Any change that happens on the outside has to start on the inside. And, you know, how you deal with different things, how you face different things, your mindset toward different things. And that's the shift I'm seeing here. That's what I'm seeing happening with you. I really, really hope this resonates with you, because it's so beautiful when you start to have this kind of a change. It's really amazing. Really, really, really nice. I love seeing things like this. The next card you have your past is the Queen of Cups. Yeah, I'm seeing a few things here. I think there is someone in your life. I think this is a love connection. I'm not sure whether you're in a relationship with this person or not. It's definitely not this ex that I'm seeing in the Death card. There is a bit of holding back, a bit of withdrawing I'm seeing here, but they're very, very emotional, even though they're not showing that. What they were feeling on the inside wasn't reflecting the way they were acting on the outside. I think they actually had a lot to sort out practically and also emotionally, but a lot of this was how they felt about themselves. They were quite low about themselves. That's what I'm getting. It's almost as if they wanted to clean up a lot of things in their life and kind of clean up themselves as well, if that makes sense. Get themselves into a better person, a so-called better person, before they were ready to come forward to you properly. I think there might have also been another thing going on with them. There was a little bit of a hangover from past relationship around them. I don't think they had love for anyone else. It's not like a third party thing. No, they don't. They don't have love for anyone else. I'm not seeing that. I think it was just that, I don't know, I'm just getting a sort of a raw, vulnerable feeling around them. Maybe there was still some hurt left over from an old situation that they still had to process. But yeah, I think they were keeping all of this to themselves. This queen staring at this cup, which obviously represents emotions, but there's a lid on the cup, so they were keeping a lid on their emotions. That's what I'm seeing. So, I think if this had been the old you before you changed, you probably would have felt a lot more insecure than you do now about this whole situation. I'm not saying you were jumping up and down happy about this. You weren't satisfied with the way things were. That's what I'm seeing. But you weren't overly emotional about it either. You were just kind of sitting back and observing it, I think. You weren't happy, but you weren't like, oh no, this is terrible. I'm not seeing extremes. You're a lot more stable in your emotions. So, if this is all resonating and kind of if you're wondering whether they really want to be in this with you or not, my feeling is that they do. That's what their feeling is. Whether that translates into action or changing, because they do have a lot of, to me, they don't have a lot to do, but it's all kind of what they're imagining. They're like, oh, I'm not ready to see them, not ready to be with them, I'm not good enough, I have to change this. Maybe they're thinking, oh, I have to get a better job, maybe, oh, I have to work out, or maybe I have to learn more, or maybe I'm not up to... It's all of this kind of thing that's going around and around and around in the head. Oh, so I'll wait until I'm ready, oh, I'm not ready. All of that. So, yeah, they are holding back. They've got all this, and they have this other kind of stress, this kind of emotional stress from this old situation. So they do want to be with you. They are going to come forward at some time, definitely. I can't tell you when that is. It might be a long time ahead because they have a lot in their head, a lot. Now, whether you're prepared to wait for them, I don't know. But that's the feeling I'm getting around this, that deep down, they do love you. They do want to be with you. They are thinking about you, but they're so in their head. That's what I'm getting. The last card you have your past is the Two of Cups. Yeah, there's definitely a strong connection. There's a strong connection between you, not just in love, but in friendship. I'm seeing a real sort of an intellectual bond here. Maybe you've had a lot of deep, interesting conversations together or something like that. They might not quite be understanding a lot of the spiritual things that you kind of understand, but I don't think that's a problem. They're definitely open-minded. I don't think that is a problem. I think the only big problem really is what's going on in their head. They're sensitive, they need time to heal. That's what I'm seeing from this old situation, because I'm looking at this caduceus in between these cups, and that can be about healing. Yeah, I think what they'd ultimately like to happen is, they like to have everything in order, whatever that means to them, before they commit to you properly. They're a good person, but I think, the big problem is they're just struggling to speak up. I think if they just told you that they were struggling and they needed time and they had to sort this out and they were stressed about this and upset about that, I think you'd be a lot more understanding. But they're not doing that. So, yeah, there's a bit of frustration there. But again, you're not overly emotional. I'm not seeing you overly upset about all of this. Right, so the first card you have for your present is the Knight of Wands. Yeah, again, look at how mixed up they are. They have a lot to sort out. If you look at this horse on this card, if you look at the horse's eye, it's looking down toward the ground, and it's not looking up, it's looking down. If you're a knight and a horse and you're going into battle, you need to be looking forwards. If you're rushing forward, you need to look at where you're going. So they weren't doing that. They weren't looking forward. They weren't looking forward to you. They weren't looking forward to anything else in their life. They were just thinking about themselves, stuck where they were, really introspective, looking down at the ground, looking at where they were at that point in time, or where they are. This is in the present. So, when you come across someone and you talk to them and they're not looking at you straight in the eye, they're looking down at the ground, obviously they're uncomfortable, there's something going on with them, they don't want to be there, they're not very happy. So, yeah, I think they're just feeling as if they're kind of in a big mess in their life, and they don't want to be in this mess, they don't want to be out of control, but that's how they're feeling, and they're trying to get their life into control. If you look at this knight, obviously he doesn't look as if he's in control of this horse that's kind of jumping up and down. So a lot of this is really in their state of mind. The thing is, no one's ever 100% ready for anything, relationships, jobs, anything, because life's just not perfect. They do have a lot of emotional things to sort out, and I can understand that, but the practical things I think might just be about them not feeling good enough. It's like they want to be a knight, they want to push forwards, they want to be strong, they want to live their life, but they're in this waiting period. They're just not ready. If you're a cross watcher and you're listening to this and this is how you're feeling, you're good enough. You are good enough. Please approach whoever you want to approach and start moving forward in all areas of your life. Start moving forward. Look at all the people going to work in the morning. Are they all bright-eyed and perfect? Are their clothes all perfectly ironed and they look amazing? Their hair's all perfect and their eyes are bright and they're up, really early? No, you see people going along, got a bit of toast in their hand, they're kind of going to work. No one's totally ready for everything, but they get that. They're doing it anyway, aren't they? So you do it. Move forward. Do this. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I know this is a Pisces reading, but I just felt I had to tell someone who needed to hear that. So I won't talk any more about that. Sorry, Pisces, this is your reading. So the next card you have, your present, is the Five of Swords. Yes. Okay, I think this is a warning. Obviously, this isn't a very nice card. Okay, so I don't want to make you feel paranoid either, but I have to say what I see. This is what I'm seeing. Watch out in a work situation. I'm just getting this feeling that someone around your workplace might want to either copy your ideas or maybe take credit for something you're doing, or something you're working on. It's something around work. It doesn't have to be in the workplace. It might be something like something you're doing online. Maybe you're into music. Maybe you've put out some music and someone copies it and puts it up as their own. Maybe you're on YouTube and someone's taken your video and put it on their channel and said it's theirs. That's happened to me a few times. So it's some kind of someone trying to copy what you're doing and taking credit for it. Now, I know this shift's really improved your creativity, and it's kind of grown into so many different areas of your life. But you're still getting there. You haven't quite worked out. Your instincts aren't 100% developed yet, so they're kind of on track to being developed, but they're not 100% there yet. So you've come up against this person. I actually think it is someone who you've met in person, because I am seeing someone who probably appears to be a really nice person to your face, and they're saying, hello, how are you, aren't I nice, and all of this kind of thing. But you get a feeling around them, a not so good feeling, obviously. Always follow your instincts if you can. Even though they're not 100% developed, you've still got quite strong instincts, and they're getting stronger as you go through this process. They're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So, they're still very strong, even though they're not 100% there yet. They're still very, very, very strong. If you can think about who this might be in your life, who you get that kind of a feeling around, think about who this might be. Avoid them. Don't tell them anything. Don't share things with them. If you don't get that feeling around anyone, don't start distrusting people, who are nice to you. But, I know that you know what I'm talking about. If you look at the man on this card, he's wearing green. He's wearing green on the outside, which is a really peaceful colour. It's a colour of growth and, happiness and springtime. But on the inside, he's wearing red, fire, pushing forward, doing things, sometimes selfishness. It could be a good colour as well. But so what I'm seeing is maybe he's tricked these two men by pretending to be all nice to them on the outside before he stole their swords, and then they found out who he was on the inside. So, again, if this isn't resonating, if this is not resonating, don't walk around feeling paranoid. But if you are picking up on a distinct feeling around someone, that's probably what this is. So be careful. Again, don't share things with this person. It might not even be a work thing that they want to take. It might be your energy. They might be jealous of you, and they might want what you have. They might want to be more like you. So just be careful telling them even about your private life, about what you do at home, about what you do whatever, about your plans, your dreams, your relationships. Be very careful about talking to this person about that, because they might want to try to sap that energy from you. Be very, very, very careful. But again, don't make this happen. Don't make this fit if it doesn't. This is something you can feel, and you know when you can feel this. This is a really windy card as well. The clouds are all jagged and the man's hair's blowing back, and wind can sometimes symbolize the spirit sometimes. So yeah, it's something you can feel. It's absolutely something you can feel. It's something you know. So, if you're not feeling it, leave it. If you're feeling this about someone, you just know. You automatically just know. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little bit kind of all over the place in that, because I was saying your instincts aren't quite 100% developed, but they're still extremely strong. You'll still know if this is what's happening to you or not. Right, so the last card you have in your present is the Wheel of Fortune. I love this card. You're still going through this process. You're still changing. You're still moving forward like this wheel. And, as you keep on growing in the spiritual process, I think, what's going to happen is your instincts are going to become sharper and sharper and sharper, to the point where they're so sharp, they're super sharp. They're already sharp, but with situations like this one I'm seeing in the Five of Swords, you'll be able to pick up on that instantly, automatic. You'll be able to just look at someone and you'll know. Not even look at them. You might be sitting there or standing in a room and someone will come up behind you and you'll know. You'll say, I know that person, I can't trust them. Or you'll say, I can trust them, I know this person. I know what they're like. That's what it's going to be like. You won't have any doubts at all when something's going on. You'll just know right away. And it's going to be fantastic for you when that time comes. It's already good. You have very good instincts. I'm also getting the feeling that this workplace, if this is all resonating with you about this workplace, I don't think this is your final destination when it comes to your career. I think you might actually use a spirituality in some way in your career in the future, or in a business or something like that. I am actually seeing that you might branch out into a business. You might branch out to be on your own, totally on your own. And I think you're going to use your gifts in this business or whatever this thing is working for yourself. And your instincts are going to be amazing. Once it comes to business or, being self-employed or whatever, using those instincts in that, I mean, it's going to be dynamic, really, really dynamic, really fantastic. And yeah, I think in the future, your work life, as you see it now, it's going to be 100% different. It's going to be 100% turnaround. And it's going to happen when you're ready. I think right now you're already preparing for that. That's what I'm seeing in that card. So the first card you have for your future is the Four of Swords. Yes. Okay. I think this person in the Queen of Cups, I think they're still going to be in their head quite a lot. I think they might even start isolating themselves from people for a while. It is going to be a little bit frustrating for you. I'm not seeing depression or deep sadness or anything like that. I don't think you need to be worried about that. I actually think this time to themselves, it might actually work well. It might actually be good for them. If they have this time to themselves, it might help them get through this a lot quicker. I don't know. I think it might help them. You'd obviously prefer them just to talk to you about whatever this is. I keep on seeing them wanting to get everything into order, into the right place. It's almost as if they want you to see them as someone who you can be proud of. It's just silly. You're not like that at all. You're not a superficial person. I don't understand this. Yeah, they need to shake these swords off that are above their head. They're not any use to them. There's no point in them being there. I don't know if this will help, but if this is all resonating and you do really want to be with this person, just try to stay in touch with them while they're in this kind of isolation thing. Just let them know in a kind of a non-expectations kind of a way. I know that's not a word. I hope you know what I mean. Just let them know you're there. No pressure. That's what I'm trying to say. It might make them come around to the idea that, it's safe to start moving towards you. You don't have these big expectations. You're not expecting these great big superhuman caped crusader kind of things from them. You just want a person to love you. You just want an equal. You just want someone to share, in your life. That's it. Just say that to them in a very kind, non-threatening way, and they might come around. You are going to have to be patient if this is what you want. So I think you need to really be 100% sure that this is what you want if you are going to keep on being this patient with you, because if you're not, you're going to lose patience quite quickly. That's what I'm seeing. So yeah, the next card you have for your future is the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, again, they're going to keep in contact with you, and this is all while they're having this kind of time to themselves. It's probably only going to be a very small amount of contact while they're kind of by themselves. I'm just seeing a few little messages, that sort of thing. If you can, try not to be too frustrated about this, because I'm seeing a lot of slow communication. I'm seeing these two coins, a little bit like a seesaw. One side goes up, it's your turn to say something or message, and then it's their turn, and then it's your turn. And I'm seeing the frustration around this because of this infinity symbol. It might feel as if you're waiting around forever for this to actually happen. This time is going to pass. I think they are going to get through this. The big thing here, and I think, I saw a similar thing in your last reading, is they need to see you as safe. What I mean by that is they need to feel safe to be able to be themselves in front of you. And it's about them. It's about how they feel about themselves. And ultimately, it's going to be up to them to kind of see that, that's not, that's not a problem.